All right, and welcome back. As I talked to in the video I just released, I've got several small projects left on the wings before my fuselage kit is ready to pick up in the beginning of February, and this is one of them. This is the wingtip light set out of the Fly LEDs package that I purchased several months ago. And the nice thing about this kit from Fly LEDs is that, one, it's significantly cheaper. I just did a comparison on Van's store from their website and just put together a package of the two landing lights, the position lights for both sides, and the tail light, and not including the wiring and a few of the other components that I purchased. I saved myself about $1,000 going with Fly LEDs. So that's one of the huge benefits with their product. It's a great product. You can go online through YouTube or whatever, and you'll see several instances of their lights. They're very bright. You're definitely going to be seen during the day, and it's a great product. They've got great reviews all over. One of the first steps that it calls out, and you saw me doing there, was you trim the board to the shape of your wingtip. And so it's just a matter of lining it up, tracing out the outline, and then cutting it down. And because they're made out of fiberglass with a copper plating over both sides, it's very easy to trim using some kind of either a die grinder or cutting wheel like I did there, and then filing it down to the final shape and size. So once you get that done, now you can, as you see here, I'm working on the strobe light LEDs, and it just has you shape the legs with the connection points, and then using the paste, you put that on the back and put them into place. And you can see on the boards there's those three large silver areas on each of those plates or the boards. That's where they go. Each strobe light is stamped with a positive sign on the side to show the orientation, the electrical orientation. So it's really easy to line these up and solder them in the correct direction, and it's just a matter of plug and play basically. And so you put it in place, use your soldering iron to heat everything up, and then solder it together. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience with soldering. I'm an electrician by trade. I was in the Navy as a nuclear electrician, so I worked with motors and things like that, but I didn't do a lot of soldering. My fallback was the typical, the bigger the glob, the better the job. So I'm teaching myself how to properly solder. The instructions here with the kit actually talks about it, and it discusses, hey, set your iron to this temperature, make sure you're applying the heat to get the component, the plates and the tabs all to heat up so that you can get a proper soldering joint and not a cold joint. And so it talks to all that, and that's kind of the level that their instructions are written to, is more of the novice side of things. And so for anyone that's looking into possibly doing this, just know it's a really well put together kit that talks to the the lesser experienced person, and it kind of explains step by step how you're doing all of this. So it's a really, really good kit. I was very impressed. So it's just a matter of going through now. I'm working on the position lights. I believe this is the red LEDs. And again, they've got a little positive symbol stamped on the right terminal, so you have these lined up correctly also. And it's just a matter of heating it up, putting on some solder, and making sure it's a good joint. Overall, very easy process. The instructions, again, very clear on how to put everything together, how to solder, what to look for, those kinds of things. And then even now, working on the resistors, putting those in, and it just talks to how to solder them in place, and how to get a good joint so you have good electrical continuity. And again, the instructions, they even have they have humor that's put into their instructions. It's, again, I'm very, very impressed with Fly LEDs. I do remember when I ordered the kits, I had some questions on the landing lights, and I think I discussed this in the previous Fly LEDs video that I did. But I had some questions on how many landing lights came with the package, and how the taxi lights worked, and did I need to worry about angling those. But they were very easy to work with, very accessible, and when I talked to them on the phone, it was just, they're very friendly. So I'm really impressed with the company and with their products. It's a really, really good product. So again, saved myself about $1,000 with getting all of the lights, getting the installation kits, the controllers, all of that kind of stuff. I'm setting this up for the leading edge lights are going to be my wigwams for my landing. And then the wingtips, you can set those up as a wigwam also, and you just have to buy a couple extra heat sinks that go on the back side where those strobes are soldered into place. But I decided, that's a little much. So I'm just keeping it as strobe and position lights on the wingtips. And then my tail light is obviously also going to be, I'm going to include that in the strobe setup. And so all of this together, I want to say it was right around $1,200 or so, give or take. But again, that was the lights and then some installation stuff and controllers and switches, all, the whole package deal basically. So I was very impressed with the pricing. My next step is going to be to work on the controller for this. Again, just soldering on the resistors and various components. And then that'll be pretty much it. And just be waiting on installation and testing. Now here I'm about ready to get everything completed. As you see there, I've got the resistors in place. I've got the wire terminals soldered in place. Now I'm working on the ribbon that connects both halves together. And then here in a moment, I'll show you where I actually am able to test these lights out and show everything. So kind of showing everything is finally done. I've got both sets complete. Everything's soldered together and connected. And this one's got the green stickers on it, which will be removed, but that's just showing that that's for the right wing. And as I talked about earlier, everything goes together really well. So the back side of it, these are all the resistors soldered in place with the wire ribbon connecting the two halves together. And then that piece right here is where the aircraft's power will come in and power everything up. So it's enough slack from the wire ribbon that it's out of the way that you'll be able to feed that in. And it's got a separate connector that comes in and out, so you'll be able to wire everything together into the harness and then plug it into the back of these lights pretty easily. Now just using a 9-volt battery to test these out with the resistors and everything in place, it's pretty straightforward. Obviously it's just a 9-volt battery, so they're not going to be as bright as when it'll be installed and powered by the ship's power or the aircraft's power. But even with just the 9-volt battery, these are pretty bright. Obviously, looking at the strobes there and now looking at the position lights, everything is really bright just with a 9-volt battery, so you can only imagine what it'll be with the regular voltage applied to it. Now just testing out the left wing side. Now just doing this test just to make sure everything is wired in correctly. Obviously if a LED string doesn't light up, that means one of the LEDs is backwards. It's just a matter of figuring out which one and then unsoldering it and turning it around and soldering it back in place the correct direction. But as you can see here, the strobe LEDs all worked well, and now the position lights all look good. So everything was done well. Everything is tied in correctly electrically, and this is ready to install. Now the last step of this will be to cut out the fiberglass in the wingtips to make room for all of this stuff, the resistors and the wire ribbon and all that, and then attaching some double-sided tapes to hold it in place. Or you can rivet if you'd like, but Fly LEDs actually says that the double-sided tape is more than enough. So that's what I'll be doing. So just as I had spoken to, just going through and measuring everything out, using a cutting wheel to cut away the fiberglass. You just want to make sure that you're cutting enough to clear the resistors and everything, but you don't cut too far so that you still have surface to use to attach your light plates to. And in my case, like Fly LEDs recommended, I'm just going to use double-sided tape, 3M double-sided tape, and they say that that's more than enough to hold these in place. And so just want to only remove the amount of material that's absolutely necessary to clear the resistors on the back sides. So that's where I'm going to cut this video out. Again, for those who continue to watch these videos, I appreciate it. For those who are new to the channel, welcome. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, by all means, leave those down below. I really enjoy interacting with folks, kind of going over my project, where I'm at with it, answering any questions you may have. It's a real fun community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.